Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm sure every person has uttered this phrase at least once, usually accompanied by an exasperated sigh or a meager attempt at a reassuring smile. In Japan especially, the culture surrounding their work environment often results in exhausted and stressed salarymen returning home just to repeat the process a few hours later. It's no wonder then that media has sprung up with the sole purpose of allowing its viewers to finally relax. Iyashikei is a Japanese word for healing and has come to represent a genre that is based on doing just that. If we can imagine all of life's inconveniences, frustrations, and hardships as chipping at one's soul throughout an infamous, long day, Iyashikei shows seek to nurse it back to health, leaving one relaxed and refreshed. Iyashikei is believed to have split off from the slice of life genre, but over time has since embraced its own identity. It still shares many of the same qualities, but executes them in its own unique way in pursuit of its goal. Anime is known for fantasticality, as it offers the ability to explore worlds and themes in a way that live-action media can only hope to aspire to. It's due to this that I find it amusing to witness a subgenre that is focused on being as subdued and down-to-earth as possible. Regardless, it only takes one viewing to see that the experience Iyashikei provides rivals even the most action-packed or drama-filled show. Throughout this video, I would like to explore and answer two main questions. What are the common elements of an Iyashikei show, and how did these elements accomplish Iyashikei's ultimate goal of relaxation? Nanan Biyori, Flying Witch, and Hidamari Sketch are often considered model shows for the Iyashikei genre. A quick perusal of online forums reveals countless comments on their healing properties, and one can almost feel the calmness and happiness emanating from the screen as users rave about these not-so-hidden gems that they found. And as one watches these shows, a few shared aspects unique to Iyashikei come to light. Iyashikei shows endeavor to relieve their audience's stress, and do so using crafted visuals, invocation of emotion, and expert use of its own unique style of comedy. Let's explore these three shows that many consider to be epitomes of the Iyashikei genre, and how they go about making their viewers as comfy as possible. What we see has great influence on what we feel. Iyashikei not only owns this fact, but uses it to its utmost advantage. For example, both Flying Witch and Nanan Biyori take place away from dense urban environments and embrace a rural aesthetic. Gorgeous backgrounds run abound throughout each of the series, with many locations taking inspiration from real-life places. Nature has been known to improve mood and concentration, as well as recharge one with both physical and mental energy, making it a no-brainer for Iyashikei settings. Research has brought forth evidence that exposure to nature, even only visually, rests our brains. The mechanism is still being studied, but Dr. Mark Berman, assistant professor at the University of Chicago, posits that the phenomenon may be due to something he calls involuntary attention. Simply put, when in nature, one is able to let his or her mind wander free and take in the environment around them, instead of having to focus on one thing or another. And looking at the meticulous backgrounds in Flying Witch and Nanan Biyori, there's certainly a lot to look at. But nature isn't the be-all end-all when it comes to Iyashikei. Plenty of shows in the genre do not utilize a natural aesthetic or focus on country life, but still manage to evoke involuntary attention. Our third model Iyashikei show, Hidamari Sketch, is a prime example. Although there isn't much depiction of nature, its art style is still able to convey a sense of rest and relaxation. If we revisit involuntary attention, we can see it's akin to unfocused attention, being able to look at something without needing to fully examine or study it, and work an already overworked brain. In Hidamari Sketch, the backgrounds are quite simple, and at times become even simpler, allowing one to take in the antics as they play out. At the same time, the series feels surreal and dreamlike in its visuals, thanks to Studio Shaft. One of the visual tricks that Hidamari Sketch uses is the use of real-life items throughout the series. At first it might provide a shock, but later perhaps inspires a sense of familiarity, as we watch the characters use and eat items that we might see in our daily lives. Other ways that Shaft instills a calm disposition includes the series' use of shot compositions, scene transitions and cutaways, and their choice of backgrounds, adding to its unique charm. Finally, the palette of the series lends itself to relaxation. Colors tend to be more washed out and subdued in comparison to other series. It has been reported that colors may impact mood, with the release of neurotransmitters throughout the brain being a possible explanation. In a study done by the University of Alberta, changing the prominent colors in a classroom from orange to blue both lowered blood pressure and aggression in private school students. Hidamari Sketch isn't alone in this. Flying Witch and Nanan Biyori also celebrate the greens, blues, and browns of nature. but visuals can only do so much to de-stress. Some of the most healing moments in Iyashikei are also the most emotional. Although it seems counterproductive, sadness and sentimentality work quite a deal to improve our mood. Emotional scenes allow us to connect and grow with the characters. A number of these moments exist in Nanan Biyori, but sentimentality is most apparent in episodes 3 and 4. In episode 3, Natsumi has an argument with her mother and runs away, dragging Komari with her. Once they reach their secret hideout, however, they begin to reminisce about days past and realize that their mother truly loves them and is only trying to look out for their best interest. This message is driven home with the parallel of a stray cat, who at first seems ornery but is only caring for her kittens. They return home not to an angry mother, but to a hot dinner. This episode is extremely relatable. Who hasn't had an argument or two with their parents? By inspiring a sense of nostalgia and parental nurturing, this episode of Nanan Biyori is able to have the viewer think back to their own experience, and relive days where you still had someone to worry about you, scold you, and treat you to a hot meal. Nostalgia has been shown to alleviate feelings of loneliness, boredom, and anxiety. The act of looking back on the past provides us with a sense of continuity and purpose, and makes us feel more secure in ourselves as a result. In addition to nostalgia, an important concept in Japanese culture is amae. Amae is difficult to translate into English, but involves the desire to be cared by or be dependent on another person. The late psychoanalyst Takeo Doi, and author of The Anatomy of Dependence, describes it as a uniquely Japanese need to be in good favor with and be able to depend upon the people around oneself. The easiest example would be the feeling of having your parents to rely on when you're a child, a kind of safety net. Episode 3 of Nanan Biyori invokes amae in the viewer, triggering nostalgia and its effects. Mono no aware is the Japanese term calling for the awareness of impermanence. Japan often celebrates the concept of impermanence, with wabi-sabi also existing as a concept in Japanese aesthetics. Iyashikei welcomed the idea wholeheartedly, resulting in a slower pace and bittersweet episodes. Once again, Nanan Biyori exudes relatability while also capturing the idea of Mono no aware in episode 4, Summer Vacation Started. Renge quickly makes a new friend, as kids often do, but is racked with sadness when they must be suddenly separated. The resulting scene is poetry. While Renge's tears might in turn make us misty-eyed, ultimately it improves both of our moods. Crying and Iyashikei in general invoke catharsis. In addition to being able to express pent-up emotions, catharsis also alters levels of different chemicals in the body, decreasing stress and improving mood. The act of empathizing as well causes a release of oxytocin, the love hormone, which leads us to be less irritable and more understanding. Of course, if melancholy can serve to improve mood, certainly happier emotions would suffice as well. Flying Witch takes a different route in relaxing its viewer, but is not diminished for doing so in the least. Instead of using Mono no aware and nostalgia, Flying Witch substitutes in whimsy and awe. Although the main character of the series is the lovable apprentice witch Makoto, the series truly shines looking through the eyes of Chinatsu, her adorable cousin. By being unfamiliar with the magical world, Chinatsu is able to instill childlike wonder in the audience through the usage of her own. Her curiosity is almost insatiable, which is no surprise considering the awe-inspiring events that she finds herself experiencing on the regular. What Chinatsu also evokes is a sense of instructional and parental instinct. Oxytocin was briefly mentioned before, and while it is released during bouts of empathy, it plays a larger role in social bonding and parental nurturing. When we act parent-like or witness acts of parenting, our levels of oxytocin increase and subsequently affect our mood. It is no coincidence that many Iyashikei have themes of family and parental care. A much beloved episode of Nanan Biyori involves the relationship between Ren-chan and Dagashi, as we discover that Kaede is very much a second mom to Renge. Themes of family and care are also apparent in Hidamari's sketch, with everyone coming together to care for a sick Yuno, and Sae contending with her emotions about her sister's visit. Lastly, I want to briefly touch on kawaii and moe. Kawaii is often translated as cute, but the term is more expansive than we typically think of the concept. Kawaii is made up of two components, physicality and emotiveness. In Nobel Prize winner Dr. Konrad Lorenz's 1943 paper on Kindchen schema, or baby schema, he outlines common physical characteristics of things that we might call cute. Fat cheeks, large eyes set low on the face, a high forehead, a small nose and jaw, and stubby arms and legs that might move around in a clumsy fashion. In the study, these characteristics are applied to more than humans, with Lorenz studying puppies, ducks, and other young animals as well. It's not a large leap to make that anime may have co-opted these basic characteristics of cuteness for their own use, and it seems while doing so they've stumbled across extremely wide heads to add to the list. In addition to oxytocin, viewing cute things also seems to release dopamine, another mood enhancer and the reward hormone. Knowing this explains a lot of why Hidamari's sketch does so much to make the viewer feel happy and at ease. Kawaii and cuteness absolutely permeate the series from its core. But to completely attribute the series' healing properties to its cute visuals would be a huge oversight, because you'd be overlooking the component of emotiveness. Emotiveness simply means pertaining to emotion, and I use it to address the feelings that arise when consuming kawaii content. Moe is Japanese slang that is derived from the word that means to sprout or bloom. The exact definition of moe has changed over time, and the meaning of the word is hotly debated today. Dr. Patrick W. Galbraith, an author of the Moe Manifesto, proposed a definition in the aforementioned manifesto. In this contemporary usage, moe means an affectionate response to fictional characters. First, moe is a response, a verb, something that is done. Second, as a response, moe is situated in those responding to a character, not the character itself. Third, the response is triggered by fictional characters. For the purposes of this video, I will use this definition. Some Iyashikei shows intend to elicit moe in their audience as a method to relieve their stress. Hidamari's sketch does this throughout the series by giving the audience someone to root for, Yuno. Throughout the series, we see Yuno struggle with multiple things: her art, living alone for the first time, and sickness. As we watch her overcome her obstacles, I believe a feeling of moe arises, a sort of desire to support and protect her. But this feeling doesn't just arise throughout her hardships. Viewers may moe at how her and her friends have fun and go about their days, and hope that she is able to hold on to those times. The before-mentioned effects of cute things come about not only when viewing kawaii content, but also when one feels a moe response. Dr. Christine Yano at the University of Hawaii at Manoa asserts that feeling an emotional need is exactly where kawaii plays a significant role. And journalist Nicholas Kristof comments that when a society needs to heal, it seeks comfort in the familiar, and often the familiar may reside in cute. Iyashikei often aims to elicit a slight smile or chuckle rather than roaring laughter. A lot of the techniques used in the comedy of Iyashikei shows would not be out of place in a guide to stand-up. However, these techniques are slightly manipulated to better suit the desired outcome of relaxation. For example, although timing is an important element of comedy as a whole, it is paramount in an Iyashikei. In something like Konosuba, the jokes and ridiculousness come rapid fire, resulting in side-splitting laughter. In an Iyashikei, much like the genre as a whole, comedy is crafted to be more subdued. One might say that in a more traditional comedy anime, you have high peaks among a middling baseline, while Iyashikei shows seek to keep that baseline at a constant high. You probably won't find it as funny or laugh as hard, but that's not what an Iyashikei is trying to do. Instead, it wishes to keep you in an elevated mood constantly throughout the episode, for maximum comfy levels. So, Iyashikei is content to do things like delay punchlines. In episode 2 of Flying Witch, Makoto has a dream about now and indicates that good luck may be in her future. It's a small comment within the scheme of the whole episode, but later the viewer is treated to an amusing after-credit scene of now waiting eagerly for her lucky moment to occur. By establishing the setup well before the punchline, the show is able to end the episode on a lighthearted note. More importantly, it also is able to appeal to two different kinds of people: the ones who remembered and the ones who forgot. For the ones who remember the setup, it creates a sense of anticipation which leads into the inevitable payoff, and the ones that forgot are treated to an unexpected surprise which results in a bigger laugh. Iyashikei have the luxury of giving their jokes time to breathe. This concept is used in Hidamari's sketch as well. In the first episode, Miyako characteristically messes up writing love and peace in the snow, writing love and peace instead. The screw-up is funny in and of itself, but the hilarity is multiplied further when her friends later call her out on it, and she provides a truly lackluster explanation. In comedy, this trick is referred to as a callback, and is believed to create audience rapport. When the punchline is delivered, the enjoyment is greater because the audience feels as if they're in on the joke. But while these tweaks of comedic techniques are the foundation of comedy in an Iyashikei, what it really comes down to is the characters. Iyashikei tend to be extremely character-driven, both in terms of the plot, however little there may be, and its comedy. Adam Sternberg, culture editor for the New York Times Magazine, attempted to create a distinction between character-driven comedy and what he calls joke-driven comedy. In character-driven comedies, funny people say funny things and fall into funny situations, but it's all contained in the realm of plausible realism. Nothing absurd or unbelievable occurs. Joke-driven comedies, by contrast, start with the absurd and unbelievable and go from there. Sternberg is referring to big-budget films with this statement, but I believe that in part, it still holds true for anime. Much of the amusement derived from Iyashikei's shows arise through characters with distinct personalities interacting with one another and responding to situations they find themselves in. Compare this to a series like Humanity Has Declined, whose first episode includes a loaf of bread committing suicide by ripping itself in half. Character-driven comedy exists in spades throughout all three of our model Iyashikei shows. Flying Witch wouldn't be the same without the kind but blundering Makoto or the ever-curious Chinatsu and her adorable antics. The same goes for Nanan Biyori and Hotaru's almost obsession and Komari's want to impress. However, out of the three, Hidamari's sketch is able to craft character-driven comedy the most intricately. Each of the members of the four-person main cast are multifaceted and play off of each other well. It's hard to explain, but it's the sort of laugh that comes about when you watch a scene play out and a character does exactly what you'd expect them to do. If you were to compare it to Western media, it would be what gives Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia his charm, or the Todd from Scrubs. The character itself becomes a running gag. In essence, it's similar to how we might make our own friends laugh in our everyday lives, but to an exaggerated degree. As for how comedy affects our mood, the answer is obvious. Very rarely are laughing people also stressed and depressed people. But science supports this observation as well. Laughter both lowers blood pressure and heart rate, putting us in a relaxed state. Endorphins are also released shortly after laughter, your body's natural analgesics, literally alleviating any pain you might harbor. It is no wonder then why Iyashikei and comedy go hand in hand. I've talked at length about the broader aspects of the genre, but in regards to Iyashikei, the whole is definitely greater than the sum of its parts. There are a number of smaller things that nonetheless work in concert to maximize the relaxation obtained. One of these is something that you may not notice until it's gone: music. The impact music has on both atmosphere and emotion cannot be overstated, and is often the most important element that goes into crafting an emotional or relaxing scene. There are moments where a piece so perfectly fits the tone of what is happening on screen, and swells of instrumentation are often timed perfectly to the culmination of our own emotions. However, simply its persisting presence plays an immeasurable role as well. It gives each show its own unique rhythm, and simply listening to the OSTs of Nanan Biyori, Flying Witch, and Hidamari's sketch reflect their character. Not only that, music is just as important when it's not present. With Iyashikei's focus on nature, the little ambient sounds of animals, wind, and water do a great job of generating a sense of realism, as well as serving to emphasize crucial moments from time to time. Remember the scene of a somber Renge I showed earlier? Part of the reason why it is so emotional is because the music fades away and we experience Renge's sadness in its purest form, only being complemented by the crescendo of cicadas in the background. Once again, music's relaxing properties have been documented by science. A 2013 paper found that classical music directly impacted people's stress levels, as those who listened to it before a stress test showed a decrease in levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, compared to those who didn't. It just goes to show that music is crucial to the success of an Iyashikei, arguably just as much as everything else I've mentioned. What are the common elements of an Iyashikei show? How did these elements accomplish Iyashikei's ultimate goal of relaxation? These are the two questions I sought to provide answers for, and through the study of three staple Iyashikei, I believe that we have arrived at providing suitable ones. Iyashikei contain visuals that evoke involuntary attention through the use of nature or other means. Involuntary attention rests our brains, allowing one to recharge and relax. At the same time, visuals may depict cuteness or kawaii, instilling new emotions in the viewer such as moe, and activating different chemical pathways that ultimately lead to a more relaxed audience. Along with the happy comes the sad, and nostalgia and sentimentality are a large part of some Iyashikei. Mono no Aware adds a solemn note to many series and emphasizes the passage of time and the impermanence of things. Ultimately, all of these boil down to wanting to invoke emotion, happy or sad, as a method to leave the audience less stressed in the end. While some series focus on a more melancholy and introspective look at things, many choose to fill the room with laughter instead. This is done in a manner unique to Iyashikei, focusing on interactions between characters rather than absurd situations. Using this as a criteria for what makes an Iyashikei, we can expand beyond the 3 shows that we studied and apply these principles more broadly. For example, is Tanaka-kun wa itsumo kararuge an Iyashikei? Well, despite being mainly set in a school, the backgrounds are beautiful and detailed, and the color palette is soothing to the eye. The characters are unique and distinct and interact in humorous ways. The pace is slow, and although Tanaka may be a little over the top with his listlessness, the show operates within the bounds of reality. And Shiraishi's subplot may lead one to moe and yell "Ganbatte!" It may be cheating to use a show literally about listlessness as an example of how to identify an Iyashikei, but Tanaka-kun definitely exhibits all the signs of one. I hope I was able to shed some light on a wonderful genre and its inner workings, and encourage you to watch the 3 shows that we studied if you haven't already. Hold on a moment. It would be remiss of me to create a video on Iyashikei and not mention a series considered by many to be the pinnacle of the genre. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Aria. Everything that we've discussed, stunning visuals and the usage of nature, likable, memorable, and noteworthy characters, sustained character-driven comedy, peppered with cathartic moments of sentimentality. Aria does all of this, and more. Every character in Aria has an argument for being someone's favorite, and that includes President Aria, who is a cat. They feel like complete human beings instead of hollow archetypes, and just remembering them brings a smile to my face. Evidence of their distinctness is incredibly easy to demonstrate. Who comes to mind when you hear, or how about, or, and I want to stress that these aren't simply gimmicky catchphrases, they are the essence of each character distilled into a single line. That is art. Aria also excels at the invocation of emotion. The feelings that arise when watching this show expand across the entire spectrum, from solemn sadness to blissful joy. What separates Aria and Iyashikei in general from the mediocre is a sense of growth and maturation. As we watch Akari and friends go through their lives, we become drawn into their journey because ultimately, and maybe optimistically, it's human nature to want to see others succeed. This sentiment strikes at the very heart of what Moe is all about. Each episode is not only an exploration through the wondrous world of Neo Venezia, it's also the exploration of the lessons our cast learn, both happy and sad. And as Akari writes about her experiences to Ai-chan, she's also writing to us, the viewer, about the facts she's uncovered about life. Returning to Neo Venezia, the world of Aqua as a setting is nigh perfect. Iyashikei are essentially a form of escapism, because what better way to relax than to lose yourself in another world? Watching Aria is almost an out-of-body experience and is just alien enough to have you forget your worries, even just for a moment. Aria utilizes the phenomenon of involuntary attention through the enduring presence of water, and I can't think of a better way to describe both the series and Iyashikei as a whole. Water is cool and soothing. It can be a medium through which you start a journey, whose ripples reach out and touch others across long distances. At the same time, water is whimsical. You can splash and frolic about it, reliving and sparking childlike wonder. But it is also meditative, being both figuratively and literally a reflection of yourself. Finally, water nurtures and heals, and like Iyashikei, serves to baptize those it touches, allowing one to wash off the dirt of worry and stress, and begin anew. I want to thank you for watching this behemoth of a video. I enjoyed making it with all of my heart. It definitely was a labor of love. Iyashikei accomplished something special in a way that no other genre comes close to, and I hope I was able to convey just how it does that. For additional reading, check out the references I've included in the description below, especially Zaria's blog posts, they're pretty great. If you liked the video, click the like button and share it around. Trust me, it helps immensely. And of course, if anything I said is wrong, I'm sorry. I must have stuttered.